Right, so I've got a pair of crossovers here which have come from a Beovox speaker. I can't remember the model, but yeah, normal thing, electrolytics, probably way out of tolerance by now, and the client has bought a kit, and like normal with a lot of these kits, they send you all the capacitors with the values they can read. But when we have things like these, what people call the tropical fish capacitors, mullard capacitors, where there's no value printed on them, you have to use the colours to determine their values. That's too much like hard work, so they ignore that. Having said that, these tend to hold up fairly well. But yeah, they can be quite tricky to read. So there's normally 5 stripes on them, although not always. Sometimes it's just 3, sometimes it's just 4. So, and it can get quite difficult sometimes when stripes 1 and 2 are the same colour, and yeah, it's quite tricky to tell. And also you have the natural colour of the actual material itself, which sometimes gets confusing, and you can see that as a colour. But yeah, so normally if we look at this one here, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different colours. So the first 2 are the numbers. So you could have a 3. The colours refer to numbers. I think they run the same as resistors. I'll put a chart up in the video if I can find it. So the first 2 are the numbers. So you might have a 3 and a 4, 34. The third band is the multiplier. So it's how you multiply these first 2 to get the value. The fourth one, which isn't always there, is the tolerance. And the fifth one, which isn't always there, is the voltage rating. So yeah, they can be a bit tricky to read. And we've got a little resistor on here as well. But yeah, an 8 microfarad. I think that's a 2, might be a 20 actually, and a 75. Air core inductors, but the way they're orientated isn't ideal. I'm not going to change that. That's how the speaker was voiced. And then an air core with an iron slug through it, or ferrite slug, so an iron core. This will probably be the woofer circuit. I think these came out of a 3-way. So that makes sense, probably woofer, second order. This arrangement here will probably be the mid-range, second order on the high and low pass, and this is probably the tweeter circuit. So yeah, so we'll desolder everything, test these, and find out what these are, and find something to go in here. Polys work well in place of these, like Solon, that sort of thing. And we got this little resistor as well, which according to this is 8.2 ohms. Okay. So the other thing is these are just made up on some hardboard, which, you know, isn't pretty, but you've got to mount your components on something, and actually it is all point-to-point wired. So whilst that doesn't look particularly attractive, it's not too bad really. The wiring that's on here, I think I'm retaining. I'll have to go back through the email and see what I'm doing with that. But yeah, probably mid-range. No, mid-range, tweeter, woofer, input, I would have thought. Right, let's take these off. So we think this is a 75. I think it may well be. Cool. 128. So that has really gone out. Yeah, 75. So what have we got here? We've got 22, 2 22s, 68, 68, 8.2, 6.8, 8.2. Okay, so that meant to be a 75. So what have we got that we add up to that? So we've got a 20 in there, and we've got an 8. Right, so our 8s are taken care of. That's going to be that one there. Then we've got, I think that's meant to be a 20, so that's probably what the 22s are doing. And then if we've got 68 plus, call it 7, then yeah, that's our 75 basically. So that's what they're doing. Right, so we take these two, try and get them so you can read the values. Twist them up. Get those in there and in there. Alright, so I need to go in there. So I'll probably use the original lead or original leg, twist that up, solder that on. Yep, so I've also got it down the bottom there so I can connect it there too. Okay. Right, okay, so that's our 72 replaced. That's on our woofer. So yeah, second order on the woofer, outlet, cap down to ground. Okay, so next we've got what should be a 20. So let's clip that off. If you do this methodically, I say methodically, in an order, just do one cap at a time. You shouldn't forget what went where. So this should be, I think, a 20. Come on. 27, that's testing up. So, yeah, nay good. So, we want our 22. Yep, that's okay. So I'm wrapping these round at the bottom, soldering them and then clipping them off. Actually, that big lump of ferrite's quite useful, actually, stops them tipping over. Na, 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 na. Right, so what have we got next? So we've got two of these old mullards in parallel. And we've also got two there and our electrolytic. Okay, so what we'll do, let's take these off first. So they're definitely in parallel. I think what I'm going to do is lift them up like that, and we'll test them first. So I reckon we've got red, red, green, white, red. Might be wrong. Normally red is the voltage and the tolerance only have a few bands, and they tend to be, I can't remember off the top of my head, I'm going to look it up. And this one is brown, black, green, so same multiplier, white, so same tolerance, and red, same voltage rating. Right. So I reckon that's about 1 microfarad, and that's about 2.2. Let's see. Yep. So that's 1 microfarad. I reckon this is 2.2. Yeah. 2168 nanofarads, so 2.16 microfarads. So actually these are holding up really nicely. But I am going to replace them. They've got very low, well, 0 ESR, so polys are what we want to be using here. So let's see what I've got, because I'm pretty sure I've got these values. Right, so in my stockpile, I've actually got these. So I've got a Statin 2.2 poly and a Statin 1 microfarad poly. So I need a 2.2 and a 1, and here as well we got the same. So 2.2 and a 1, and I've got 4 of each, so gravy. So I could actually use, let's say, a 3.3 and a 3.3 there instead, but have I got those? No. Let's do it as they did. So these go down into there, coming out from here. Okay. I do an awful lot of this. I get sent quite a lot of crossovers just to rebuild like this, and then they get posted back. Okay. I'm using a new soldering iron. I'm not convinced at the moment. Always tricky using new tools. You get used to something, then you change it. It's not always for the better. Right, so that's our 2.2s in there. Sorry, two capacitors, 2.2 and a 1. Okay, so now we'll take these out. So we've got they're in parallel again, and we got this electrolytic and a resistor. Yeah, so we've got a third order arrangement on the tweeter. We're coming into these polys first. Yep. Inductor down to ground, and then this 8, and then out to our tweeter. Bizarre arrangement to have a electrolytic after some polys, or after these mullards. And yeah, I think that's an 8.2, but we'll test that as well. Right, so let's take these two out and see how they were holding up. So this should be 1. Yep. Or 0.95, 957 nanofarad. And this should be 2.2. Yeah, 2.1. So they're holding up pretty well. And like I say, these, very rarely find any issues with these. But we're doing the lot, so let's do it all. Okay. Okay, maybe we were going to have a failure soon. Yeah, I just want to see what this resistor is as well. It says 8.2. Let's double check. Probably a film type resistor, pretty good. .5, okay. Hate to think what its power rating is. See if I've got an 8.2. Yeah, so I've got a couple of 8.2s. Again, Verstatten. I tend to stock quite a lot of this stuff. Okay, and then our electrolytic goes in there. In that one. Okay. Where's our 8.2? There we go. Okay, so we'll do this. Take our white off. Connect this in. So we'll solder that up quickly. In you go. Right, okay. So now we've got to pick up the inductor and all of these, so this is going to get a bit busy, I think. Try and get these back out, won't bore you with this. Right, that's that out. I'm going to need a bit more room here, so I'm going to use the next one along, especially as we got this big resistor as well. So we'll come in like that. We need to pick up that as well, and then our other caps. Right, So before I do that, I got to get these in there as well. This is getting pretty busy. Right, okay, so I've cable tied these and rearranged them a bit. Yeah, it's just a bit tight there. So let's solder these back down. Right, okay, we'll put some hot glue on there, but yeah, basically that's that one done. Bit on the tricky side, but yeah, we got there. Right, so both of these are done now. I've hot glued round the cables and components because they have a habit of pulling out of these slots. So yeah, it's not pretty, but it works absolutely fine. And just tidied up the wires a little bit as well. Glued down any loose leads from the inductors, just so everything stays put. But yeah, there we go. So yeah, second order on our woofer, second order on the high and low pass sides of the mid circuit, third order on the tweeter. So we got all polys here, electrolytics. So pretty good, really. Yeah, there we go. Right, back in the post to the client. Thanks for watching.